Welcome to this episode of the Business Spotlight. Today we are joined by Peter Church from FB Chain. Hi there, Peter.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. Good.
So, for those of you joining us for the first time, the Business Spotlight is a place for you to find out a little bit more about business. And if you're thinking about getting into business, or if you're already on that entrepreneurship journey, you're in the right place. So, Peter, if you could just kick things off for us by letting the audience know who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it for.
Okay. So FB Chain's an industrial chain business. So if you think like bicycle chain, but it's on steroids, so it's big and heavy. We've got a couple of main streams to the business. One is we do a lot of chain that would go on a forklift truck. So it's a lift-in chain that goes on a forklift truck. But then we also have another side of the business where we're putting chain into all sorts of heavy machines that go into power stations, especially energy from waste, biomass energy. We also do a lot of work with wood processing. So that end of the business is really heavy duty. So that's the main two sort of main areas that we operate in.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah. And how long's the business been running for, Peter?
So actually, we're just about to enter, or we've just entered our 40th business year in business. So we started in 85. So we'll be celebrating 40 years this year. So,
wow, congratulations.
Yeah, it's good. But,
wow,
good.
Fantastic.
I actually started in the late 80s. So, and I was here sort of from when I was a sort of a teen, 19, 20, and I stayed for 10 years, and I worked in our aftermarket department, then moved into visiting some bigger customers and doing external sales and things. And then I actually left after 10 years, and then I spent 10 years doing some other things and gaining some more commercial experience and things. And then I came back in, I left on really good terms. So that's one of the things I would say to everybody. Top tips. I know that was later on. Leave on good terms, whatever you do. And then 10 years later, came back to take over running it as managing director. So this is the 15th year I've been in charge. So I've done 25 years. It's like a quiz question because how long have I been here? I started in 89 and to date, but I've actually done 25 years. So
wow. That's sort of gold watch territory, isn't it?
Well, we've got a little. We actually have some gold chain links made for long service, and we've got silver and gold ones made. But actually, yeah. So we do gold and silver. In our business, we have a number of, we were just discussing something this morning with some new starters. I was doing part of their induction, and we have a number of people in the business that have done like 10, 15 years. In fact, the lady that I run the business with, our financial director, has done 30 continuous years.
Wow.
So, we've had new people come as we've grown, but we've also retained a lot of people. So that's an important thing, I think, for the business. So as we've grown over the years, because since 2010 we've really grown rapidly, people have come in and they've done different jobs. So even though they've been with us for 10 years or 11 years, they've worked through a number of different areas of the business, and that's really good for us. So we're quite keen on developing and giving people opportunities and stuff. So that's really good. So so we've got a lot of people that have done quite a lot of years.
No, that's fantastic. So I mean, that's a great share. And I mean, it's always interesting when I hear that, you've got that longevity with your staff, because it clearly means you're doing something right.
Yeah.
So what would you say on that note? What is it that makes you different, or what is it that makes you stand out from anybody else doing something similar?
I mean, I think from the products that we supply, I mean, the chain market, the industrial chain market, is worth billions of pounds all over the world. It's big, and we're a relatively small company in it. But what we do is we specialize in a few areas that I was just talking about, like biomass energy, or in the chain that goes on forklift trucks. Inside the big chain industry, they're tiny segments, but we know everything about them. We know the applications, we know the products, we know what makes the product work better. So we've got this next level of understanding on the areas that we choose to deal with. So that's really it. Yes, we're selling products, but we're giving a lot of advice. We get a lot of people get in touch with us. They've got a problem, something's not working well. I've been just speaking to someone from Finland this morning about a problem they're having. Then it's not something that we've dealt with before, but they have a problem with chain life. Our name got recommended to them. We've had a meeting with them, and their beginning of their conversation was they don't think they're buying good enough quality chain. But actually, after talking to them, it was like, no, actually, the machine is not quite. There's some things that are designed in the machine that mean you're never going to get quite what you want unless you change the design in the machine. So we sort of got a much deeper understanding of the problems in certain industries. So I think that's what makes it different.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's another great share. Well, I mean, on that note, then, I mean, you've been, this amazing 40 years. So, I mean, what I'd like to do is if you can run through not the whole 40 years, but maybe just some sort of milestones that really jump out. I mean, you said yourself, been there 25 years. So just give us a few of the milestones that you've experienced along the way.
I suppose so. When the company started in 85, it was very service driven. And I don't think people always remember, especially if you're younger. And we had this discussion in the office today with someone that, if you ordered something in 1985, it turned up a week later. And in fact, in 1985, when you ordered something, you probably ordered it by letter. A lot of companies wrote orders out, popped them in the post, and it arrived. And so everything was slow. But right from day one with FB, they really focused on service. So things were done quickly. Somebody could phone up and order something, and we would do our best to deliver it the next day. I mean, even through the 80s when I first started, we'd still take an order at 5 o'clock at night. If somebody has a machine broken down and they need a new chain for it, we would get it out. We had a like a high service thing. So I think that's what really drove the early part of the thing, and it was very profitable because we were competing against like the machinery spare parts department, and we were given a high level of service, and we were getting a really good price for it. So we weren't really competing on price; we were competing on service. These people were used to paying quite a lot of money. If you've ever bought a spare part for a washing machine or even your car from the main dealer, it's really expensive. So the early part of the business was really service driven. We made a lot of money, and actually and again, something that seems really strange to say now, and I remember in 1990, we got approached by a company making machinery, and they asked us to quote on their chain, and our price we were really uncompetitive. But in the conversation with the customer, he talked about the problems he was having, and so we listened to what he was saying. He wanted it delivered cut. In the chain industry, you tend to deliver something on a big coil, like a big drum, 100 meters, 50 meters. But we were cutting the chain down. So we said, well, we'll deliver it to you, cut the length you want. And he was like, oh, great. And then there's some other bits you need with the product. And we said, well, why don't we bolt those bits onto the chain for you and deliver it all ready for you to go? And that was really good. So it's like just in time, like this kitting and stuff, which is now really common in industry, but at this point it wasn't. And at the time, the customer was growing and they didn't have a lot of room. So we said to them, why don't we just deliver to you every Monday morning for what you need for the week? And then the following Monday we'll deliver. So that was just in time, the first, and I'm not saying we invented just in time because it has been around, but in industrial setting, it wasn't very common.
Yeah.
And then once we had this model for a lot of the 90s, we just used that model and went to other customers and said, I know you buy it like this, but we could sell it to you like this. You use a lot of money on labor in your factory and it's hassle. We could do vendor reduction, and that's how we grew the business through that next phase, really.
Yeah.
So it was just, again, just doing something a little bit different, high service levels. You know, we put a lot of effort into knowing our customers' part numbers, but the machines that they're going on. Sorry, I keep doing it because we're in an eco building and the lights turn themselves on and off. That's another feature of our business. Yeah, so we sort of, we know which chains go on which machines, and when a customer is talking to us, if they're talking in their part numbers, we understood their part numbers. So this is what it was all about. That really took us all the way through the 90s, if you like. That was the thing. And to be honest, I think then the business stagnated a little bit. You know, we'd found our niche, and we found our niche, and things ticked over a little bit. We'd stopped investing, we'd stopped developing a little bit. I think we turned our wheels for a few years, which again is, I guess, is all right, because we had a lot of growth and a lot of development in a few year period.
Yeah.
And then I guess the next real big phase of the sort of development of the business came after the financial crisis in 2008, 2009. It sounds terrible, but I came back in just after that period. You know, in 40 years, we've only lost money in one financial year, and that was that 2009, 2010. So yeah, and then we really got going. We promoted the business a little bit more. We made ourselves a bit more international. So we started to supply a few more people abroad, which was really good. I think the other big thing that we did in 2015, we started on automation. So for a small business like ourselves, at the point, you know, automation, I could suddenly see that to grow, we were going to need lots of people, and people in engineering jobs running CNC machinery. They're really difficult to get. So we invested a lot. We started to really look at automation, and 2015 we had our first robot loader in a machine in here in Letchworth, and that then kicked on over the next few years, and so now we've got 8 machines that are fully automated, and actually we make more parts at night when no one's here than we do during the day. So a lot of the day is to do with engineering improvements and process improvements, and then you set the machine running all night, and when you come in the morning, you've got a whole load of parts. So it was 20. I guess that was through that 2015 period, and again, promoting our business, using the internet, using social media to really promote ourselves. You know, we've just launched a sustainable forklift truck chain lubricant, so it's biodegradable things, and it's really been completely launched with social media, something that you wouldn't have thought about. So I think we've used social media and the internet to sell the business very well, probably over the last 10 years particularly. So that's been good. But again, and we've worked really hard on streamlining the business. So if you look back, I would guess in 2011, 2012, we had about 20 staff. And now this year we'll have 38 staff, but we're doing 12 times as much turnover as 13 or 14 years ago. So we do 12 times the turnover on 2 times the staff.
Wow, that's amazing.
But the robots get all the attention. So when people come to talk to me, they all, the robots are exciting, but actually it's a lot of the back office operations, the way that paperwork moves through the business, and things that have been really the things that you don't see. So we've got a lot of work around the way things flow through the business. I think from a business development point of view, business analytics. So again, probably around 7 years ago, everybody talks about AI and data now, but about 7 years ago, we started to put more information to a business analytics system that's I don't know. It's by a product. It's made by a company called Focus, and so we pull a lot of data into this central point, and we can look at data in a really organised always way. So we call it the spreadsheet killer. So we I think like a lot of businesses, you end up with hundreds of spreadsheets.
Yeah.
People that have got the same data in different spreadsheets, or two people that supposed to be giving you two people which should end up with the same number in different parts of the business end up with a different number. So yeah, we work really hard to get the data. Any data we need comes from the business analytics system. So I think that's been another really a good step as you grow.
Absolutely.
To mean that you're not spending any time on these things, and everybody's using the same data.
Yeah, it's pretty important. Yeah, it's key.
And quickly. So I mean, even within 24 hours of finishing a month, we have a full P&L available digitally in the system. So I can look at a P&L, but I can drill into the P&L. If I'm honest, I'm not too interested in the P&L. That's Karen loves the numbers, so she'll look into all the numbers. But yeah, but it's when we upload a lot of forecasts from customers, you can instantly see what our sales are going to be for the next few months. Probably 6 months ahead, because we have a lot of forecast customers. You can see where we're going, and that helps you make good decisions, really.
That's fantastic. I mean, and that's so impressive. I mean, you mentioned that it's gone from, so just so that I've captured this information right, it's 20 staff about 10 years ago, and you're now to 38 staff.
Yeah.
But you're doing 12 times the turnover.
Yes.
Do you mind if I ask what the turnover was and what it is now?
I can't tell you that.
Okay.
I'm not. That's that's unfortunately.
No, I wasn't sure if it was just the sort of information I could just get from the public domain anyway.
You could get the information from the public domain, but our shareholders are never very, very keen on me saying it out loud.
Okay, so for all of our listeners out there, if you want to find out, you're going to have to go and find that out for yourself.
Yeah.
But impressive as it is, 20 staff to 38 staff, and you've times the business by 12.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. Well done. That's an amazing feat.
Yeah.
So that kind of pretty much brings us up to where we are now then. And I mean, what an amazing journey so far. So, I mean, congratulations there, Peter. So looking forwards now then, and you've mentioned about sort of forecasting and that kind of thing as well, which is absolutely great. And I mean, just hearing someone say that they can produce a P&L within 24 hours, I mean, that's music to my ears. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard any of my clients saying that to me. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
So with all of this information at your fingertips then, what's the future hold for you, and what sort of challenges do you think you will have?
I think one of the things I would say is the early years of running the business, when I took over, you could almost foresee what the challenges were going to be. But I think the last few years have been very turbulent, and it's becoming a lot harder to see. I mean, one of the big issues we've had in the last 12 to 16 months was the Suez Canal, because a lot of the ships now diverting around the Suez Canal because of Palestine and Gaza and the Israeli conflict. It's that all of a sudden that's something you just didn't. I don't know, that wouldn't have been what's going to be a threat to our business? The Suez Canal pretty much closing, and shipping time going from 35 days to 65 days or more, and I mean, we have a lot of containers with products moving around the world, and tracking where they all are, and that was something. So and I think for the future, I mean, obviously we had President Trump inauguration yesterday, so we're all sitting here waiting what tariffs are going to look like, because I think that's going to affect us where we sell product abroad, and how can we grow in other markets. But also our customers are now, a lot of our customers sell machinery that ends up in America, so that's going to be that's going to be a challenge. So yeah, so I think there's a lot of things that are outside our control that I don't even know what they are that can buffet us up. I think one of the biggest challenges that I can see is this carbon taxes based on product moving around Europe now. Since Brexit now, we have to do a lot of paperwork and a lot of administration for that. But actually, you're going to have to report on the origin and the carbon content of all the products that you make, and that's going to be a big challenge. We're spending a lot of time at the moment getting our systems ready to record it, but the supply chain isn't giving you the information that you really want. So I think that's going to be a big challenge. So I think there's going to be a lot of tariff-based challenges for growing the business in the next 4 or 5 years, I think.
Yeah, no, that's a great insight, and thanks for that share as well, Peter.
Yeah.
So moving on to yourself then, Peter, I mean, as a business owner, what would you say, and it's probably difficult, especially over the last sort of 25 or 40 years of business, but what would you say has been one of your biggest sort of lessons today, something that really stands out for you?
Well, I was thinking about this just before we spoke, and I think one of the things I would say is about making progress sometimes need lots of little steps. And so sometimes I think people want to make a perfect jump or a jump to the perfect solution, or like going back using the automation as an example. When we first started on that, we wanted to design a robot that would pick up every single different component we made and put it into the machine, but that didn't really make sense. So we started with a small cluster of parts that we knew that we could do it with, and then we took a step forward, and then we took a step forward, and then we had a family of parts that were really hard to do, and we left them right until the end. So sometimes making little steps is if you wait for the perfect solution, sometimes it's too complicated and too costly, so you never do anything. So I think sometimes if you make a few little small steps, and sometimes you get it wrong, and that if you've taken a couple of small steps, you prove that hang on a minute, and you can do it. But I think taking some small steps, even if they're wrong, is better than waiting for a perfect thing. I think as the business principle, the one thing I would say is if you really want to grow, you have to accept that you are not the best person at every single job in the business, because I think that's one thing that at times maybe restricts what you do, because you think, you try and do too much. So then you need to find other people to do things, and then you need to trust them to do it and give them the freedom to do it. I think that would be another top thing. Realize that you don't have to be the best at everything, and sometimes you've got to employ somebody that's better than you to do something. And then the final one I thought was going back to the numbers. If you're growing like we have, and we've had sort of double-digit growth every year for the last 13 or 14 years, you need to be on top of numbers. You need to understand your cash flow. You need to understand margins and all the rest of it. So having somebody around in the business that is a numbers person, I think is really really important. I spoke to someone recently, and I said, you need somebody that can add up. Not, I know when you start a business, a lot of people, their partners do it, or their mums do the books or something. I think it's probably having somebody that really can help you with numbers, understand if you are making a product at the right, are you actually making money in something you make? You've got the raw material, your overheads, and so all of that numbers stuff. So yeah, if maybe a number, having somebody that can add up is a really good thing, I would think. And then that actually lets you get on. I spoke to somebody recently, and they sort of end up spending all their time on finances, which they hate. So get somebody in that can do it, and then concentrate on the things that you are good at. So they would be the things, I think.
Yeah, that's 3 fantastic shares there, Peter. So thank you very much. I mean,
that's right.
that's definitely going to resonate with a lot of our audience and viewers. So that's great. Thank you for that.
That's all right.
So, I mean, it struck a chord when you mentioned that the business was set up in 1985. And I remember this is one of the questions I love asking. And it reminds me of every time I say it, I don't know why, every time I say, right, we're going to go back in time. And every time I think of time travel, all I can think of is jumping in a DeLorean and hitting 88 miles an hour. And ironically, that film was made in 1985, 40
There you
years ago.
go. Yeah.
So Peter, humour me if you will. You and I, we're going to jump in the DeLorean and we're going to hit 88 miles an hour and we're going to go back in time. And we're going to go back in time and we're going to go and visit an 18-year-old Peter.
Oh, God, that would have been frightening, I think.
And you're going to get to give yourself one piece of advice, one golden nugget. What would it be?
Well, I think I wasn't particularly academic, right, at school. I didn't particularly get on at school very well. And so I bounced around and did a few jobs before I ended up at FB when I was 18 or 19, right? So this is to say, but I think like when you're young, maybe the thing is do the no talent things well, and then opportunities come up for you. At the beginning, you haven't got any skills and you haven't got the experience that people want. But like, I think if you do the no talent things, like, I mean, I know it sounds stupid, but like turn up on time, turn up consistently, and just be open to learning, you know, and take on things that maybe not quite your area. You know, it's like, I don't know, even something stupid, like in the office, somebody sometimes needs to empty the bins. Well, when you're, you know, if you're there, just do lots of little jobs that aren't necessarily your job, but, you know, and then when the old boy in the office wants to give you his wisdom or whatever, just listen to him. Even if, you know, even if you disagree with him or you think, you know, listening doesn't cost you anything, and actually maybe you'd learn stuff. So like that would be my thing. Do the no talent things when you early on, and then you know, you just opportunities will come your way because you're doing these things really.
Yeah. No, I think that's some great advice. And if only we had the DeLorean, eh?
Yeah.
So, Peter, I mean, you know, you've clearly got a passion for what you do, you know, to continue to do what you do day in, day out, week in, week out. But what I want to know is what is it that really inspires you? What is it that really puts that fire in your belly to do what you do each day?
Yeah, I guess going back all the way I was here in this business, and then I spent some time in another couple of businesses, but also ultimately I'm a salesman. So you get to go around loads of businesses and you see some really great businesses where people obviously like working for them. And you see some really terrible businesses as a salesman. You see some businesses and the people that you visit in, you can see they're disengaged and all the rest of it. So I guess fundamentally creating a business where people really want to come and really want to stay, and you give opportunities to grow and learn. I think that's what you know, if you chunk back to the core of my motivation, that's always been it. When I took over here, I always said that everybody should share in the success. So, you know, we have a whole company bonus that everybody gets paid something if we do well. It's really clear and things. So there were lots of little things and I think that, you know, that things. We started a pension scheme before we needed. I know everybody has to have a pension now, but before it was compulsory for company. You know, we started. So I think that's what really motivated me. Trying to create a company that was somewhere that people wanted to come and work hard for, you know, and not be one of those miserable places. So I think that's at the core of it, really.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, and another great share. And it's always interesting to see what inspires people to do what they do. So thank you for that, Peter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Peter, just to wrap things up, then there's going to be a hell of a lot of people out there that are going to want to find out more about you and more about your business. So, what's going to be the best way for them to do that?
Well, we're in we've got two. We're at fbchain.com is our one of our main websites. We have 2 or 3 websites, but fbchain.com, you can look and see what we see. But find me on LinkedIn. I try and post things that are interesting, maybe not necessarily 100% about the business, but some of the other things we're doing as well. So that would be the things as well.
Fantastic. Peter, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Business Spotlight.
Thank you very much.
And for all of our audience and viewers out there, that's a wrap. That's the Business Spotlight. We're all done. We'll see you all again very soon. Take care. Bye for now.